Hey, it is your buddy, Peace and Harmony with you here today. Much love going out to all the beautiful empowered harmonizers. We are zooming in and focusing in on a super interesting and important topic today, and that is inspired by a great viewer question, and that was posted by a viewer who says they feel like they're going to go off the deep end. They're just so upset. They have felt so violated by an individual in their life and what they've done to upset them that they just feel like they want to throw it all away. They're afraid of going off the deep end. So that feeling, I think, is a great viewer question and a great item to bring up, especially as we embark on a holiday weekend. We are on the advent of Easter, Good Friday, 2019, and this is oftentimes a very sensitive time. It should be a spirit and of rejoicing for the spring, but oftentimes people are literally walking on eggshells. I mean, they are really, really heightened arousal, agitated, getting stressed out. And, I think it's very important to understand that when you feel like you're going to go off the deep end, you have to understand that, emotions are energy in motion. This is fueled by the limbic system. The energy of emotions oftentimes are what run a lot of your momentum, and also really kind of are like the frame for a picture, and need to be reframed. They keep a certain viewpoint locked in and tend to either accentuate, enhance, or detract from your thinking. Emotions can be productive, emotions can be destructive, emotions can help you to focus. Also, emotions can help you to be distracted, and emotions can take away, from the intellect and intellect from the emotions. So there's a lot of dynamics and a lot of complexity and nuance and sophistication when it comes to understanding emotions. Just it's a huge, huge topic. And one that I really want to focus in, and I think we plan to focus in a little bit more on that, is this feeling of, vulnerability, sensitivity, wanting to go off the handle, fly off the deep end, take the nesty plunge. Remember those, commercials back in the day, when the guy was drinking that powdered iced tea, Nestea, and he felt like he just wanted to dive in. So it's like, I just, I'm going to go off the deep end. You can go off the deep end positively, but extremes are never good. But, it's this feeling of this negative, either rage, or you're feeling like you're snapping, or you don't like this tendency. This unequivocally, without a doubt, can be changed. Oftentimes people will change when they go, you know what? I don't like this aspect of me. I need to control myself now. I don't like the fact that I have this anger, this hostility, this frustration. This is very unpleasant. I need to stop this. Not a lot of people really enjoy this feeling. And I think it's very interesting because I came upon an interesting topic that speaks to this. And this is, a topic that is erudiated or discussed by Dr. Dayton in her book, The Trauma Syndrome. And it deals, with different types of family dynamics and things, but she brings up an interesting topic. And I'll just quote from the book that research in animals and in people shows that stress or trauma early in life can sensitize the neurons and receptors throughout the central nervous system so that they become kindled or oversensitized. Research in animals or people has shows that stress or trauma early in life can sensitize, meaning make them more subject, to arousal. They can become sensitized to neurons and receptors throughout the central nervous system so that they become kindled or oversensitized, meaning they become hyper aroused. So in other words, their activity, rather than being like, let's just say at 10 cycles per second, is at 100 cycles per second. So they are jacked up, they are elevated, they are increased. And this is known as something that she describes, which I find very interesting, is the concept of kindling. Kindling. So you might think of kindling as, like when you build a campfire, it's the tiny sticks that go in and they easily ignite and then help to light the bigger log. So that's called kindling. And you have to gather these small sticks as well as the medium and big sticks and the big logs if you're going to make a really awesome bonfire. But there's also a psychological process. It's a biochemical process where nerves and nerve cells that help regulate emotions are overfired repeatedly by trauma's effects. And thus, we perpetually over-respond to stress of all kinds. We perpetually respond to stress of all kinds. So it's this overreaction, the hyper-arousal. We talk about this quite often on the Peace and Harmony channel, especially those people who have been dogged out by someone who is psychopathic. They have taken advantage of this neurochemical process and really hyper-arouse people. That's a whole nother topic. I mean, we could go on for just days about that very topic and what that does and how to get through it. But this concept of kindling means that, once again, we perpetually over-respond to stress of all kinds. And there was actually research by Vanderkolk in 1987 that cited this in their research, another researcher in this in neurobiology. And so I think it's very important to understand that early trauma in one's life causes this kindling effect. Now, I'm not a doctor, I'm not a scientist, I'm not a neurobiologist, I'm not a surgeon, but we are discussing this as to see and just as a concept for you to understand and put in layman's terms. And as all of you know, I was an English major as well as a psychology major in university. And so here you go. You get the combo here, as well as education, master's, and in my ongoing research and study. And, work with these types of people and basically, people who are victims or people who have experienced this sort of relationship trauma, confusion that arises out of it. It's very confusing. It's very difficult to sort through it, particularly when you can't discuss it with the sources of the trauma. Obviously, they're not going to want to be like, oh, yeah, I'll fess up to that. I hurt you. You're not going to get that out of these people. If you're waiting for that, you're going to wait an awful long time, and the bus might not ever come. The ship might not ever sail. So you're oftentimes then not going to work through this, and you're going to have grudges that only hurt yourself. You're going to have confusion that only stunts your own growth. And this confusion is, I feel, a very debilitating, and it really messes with all of your senses and your thought process. It can fog the mind. It can really make thinking difficult. It can make feeling difficult. It can mean showing up socially and in close relationships very difficult. And so this hyper-arousal, this oversensitivity to stress of all kinds, based on this, it's important to understand also the element of neuroplasticity, the event that the brain can change based on new experiences. And Dr. Bruce Lipton is a huge just leader and has done a lot of work in this area of neuroplasticity. You can check him out, his works. And so changing the experience within yourself is really what we all talk about here on the channel, and then the how-tos of how to do that. But when we talk really, for those people who are wanting to know a little bit more about this hyper-arousal, hyper-reactivity, the people who have seen themselves go through reactions that aren't equal to the situation. I want to throw in the towel. I want to scream, yell. I want to move to Argentina and forget wherever it is I live now. All these sort of drastic moves. How do you calm it down? Well, let's talk about that concept of kindling. And if we look at it in the definition, which is, I love words and their origins, it's a process by which, and this is just out of, Wiki, wiki, or just the regular dictionary, kindling is a process in neurology, which is the study of neurons, which is, your brain, your spinal cord. We're going through a lot of topics today. Yes, we are. In neurology, it's a process by which a seizure or other brain event is both initiated and its reoccurrence is made more likely. So it's a process by which a seizure or a brain event is both initiated and its recurrence to made more likely. So the odds of this being set up are increased. So it's just like the lottery. If this has happened, it's going to make your chances more likely. And so the word kindle, of course, means to light or set on fire, to light, ignite, like a torch, a spark, a start. And then the opposite, of course, is to douse or extinguish. We talk about that in the channel here as well. Extinguishing certain behaviors, extinguishing certain attitudes that no longer serve you, to extinguish the behavior, to extinguish that self-limiting belief, to extinguish that enmeshing, so that there is a boundary, to sort of understand what your boundaries should be like and feel like. It also means to arouse or inspire, an emotion or feeling, to be aroused, to become impassioned or excited. And kindle comes from the Old Norse kindle, the Middle English kindle, which is from the English kind, and kindle, which is very old. The Old Norse kindle, which is a candle or torch. A kindle, which sounds like a candle. The Old Norse kindle, which now is our word candle. So if we've all seen a candle, we know what that is. It's, it's where it's, it is light. And so this understanding of kindling, once again, kind of beckons back or harkens back to that Dr. Joe Dispenza concept that neurons that fire together, wire together. So it's to understand that, once again, this is just understanding a little bit of the science and neurobiology effect of the foundation. The foundation creates the strength of the structure. The architect, we talk about this, your internal real estate, the architecture of your emotions, the architecture of your feelings, of your thoughts, the perspectives, the views that you get. It's very similar to like a house with a view. Your foundation, what you experience, especially early in life, 0 through 7, is, your most formative years, and oftentimes where your quote unquote truth is set up. This is oftentimes felt where your truth is established because you're looking to your caregivers for everything. When you're parents, you're signing up for a clean slate with this child, and you're signing up to help them mold and shape like a ball of clay. You're basically signing up to shape and control and raise them. And to raise them, is to know that you set the foundation, first floor, second floor. Are you setting them up to have a penthouse? Are you setting them up to have a basement view, a garden view, a third floor? What are you setting them up for? So your early foundation experiences are so important to understand where you are at today, and understand how early trauma, so early, things that wound people emotionally, spiritually, psychologically, physically, or all of the above. Peace and harmony, count me in for all of those. In fact, I think I've got all of those categories. Don't worry about it. It's going to get better. You're not alone. Almost everybody has a certain degree of this in their past. To experience hurt is to be human. Life is difficult. M. Scott Peck, it's the first word, but nobody ever, it's difficult. It's tough. So understand and see if you can understand a connection between early situations and perhaps why it's aggravating the present moment, and begin to just come to an understanding and realize that a lot of the work that we're doing is to help to resensitize your experience so you can have new experiences that create the change that you are looking for. And you can do this. you can't, but it's important to really begin to, get a sense of this balance yourself and begin to go in yourself as the internal sort of architect and help to lay forth a new and better and improved foundation that is based on solid